I'm Joanna Small, your public information officer for the Wheat Ridge Police Department. It's Friday, March 24th, and this is your WRPD Video Week in Review. Here's a summary of some of the most notable incidents your Wheat Ridge patrol officers responded to over this past week or so. Now, we often respond to calls in which someone is experiencing a mental health crisis and their behavior is considered a danger to themselves or others, resulting in what's called an M1 or mental health hold. That means instead of arrest, we transport that individual to the hospital for a mental health evaluation. Overnight, March 22nd, we were called back to the hospital after a person we had transported previously on an M1 had been discharged but refused to leave. When we contacted that person, he made homicidal statements to our officers. Now, we felt this rose to the level of another mental health hold, so he was transported to a different hospital. Also on March 22nd, a man wanted in a second-degree assault and sexual assault case walked into the police department under the guise that he too was a victim and that officers were going to take photographs of his injuries. He was taken into custody, though, as a suspect and transported and booked into the Jefferson County Jail on the charges just mentioned above. Detectives then executed a search warrant at his residence to obtain evidence of the crimes. A safety plan for the victim was established in conjunction with VOI, which is Victim Outreach Incorporated. Additionally, on March 22nd, officers contacted a woman in regards to a disturbance in the 7400 block of West 38th Avenue. They discovered that she had outstanding warrants for her arrest and transported her to jail. While she was being escorted into the receiving area of the Jeffco jail, she assaulted a deputy and 2 officers. She's now facing 3 second-degree assault charges for those actions. On March 20th, officers were dispatched to an apartment complex on Yukon Court for a report that 2 black Cadillac sedans with heavily tinted windows were stopped side by side in the middle of the road and blocking traffic. The vehicles began moving in an attempt to evade officers when we arrived on that scene. Both had stolen out-of-state license plates. Separate traffic stops on each vehicle were attempted, but both eluded officers at high rates of speed. Officers continued their investigation at the apartment complex and determined both vehicles had been present during an illegal discharge of a weapon call from several days earlier. Officers then located additional shell casings outside one of the apartment units. Surrounding agencies were given the plate information on the 2 vehicles that eluded, and a patrol car was stationed on Yukon Court for the remainder of that shift. Also, officers contacted an individual at the apartment where the shell casings were located. Routine clearance of his name in law enforcement databases revealed he had several warrants for his arrest, as well as a gang hit out of Denver. The individual was jailed on his warrants. On March 19th, a property owner in the 8800 block of West 38th Avenue advised 911 dispatchers he was watching a man on live surveillance camera feed steal his flatbed trailer. When our officers arrived on scene, they contacted the suspect, who was taken into custody and could not provide us with a legitimate reason for what he was doing. He was issued a summons for both theft as well as obstruction. Some exciting news to share with Wheat Ridge residents. We announced this week on our social media accounts that we are the recipient of a grant through CatPaw, the Colorado Auto Theft Prevention Authority, that will allow us to etch a unique identifier onto your catalytic converter free of charge to you. While this won't necessarily prevent the theft of your CatCon, it will allow us to potentially track and recover your stolen property if the thief attempts to resell it. We'll have more information about our 2 etching events, the first of which will be held likely in May, on our social media pages when we get a little bit closer. We also shared as a standalone social media post last Saturday that officers successfully thwarted what our intelligence suggested was a dangerous and illegal street racing event with a meeting spot at Anderson Park. Families had gathered there for soccer games, so officers joined them. And when the racers arrived, many arrived in cars without license plates. They found the entrance blocked and they quickly left the area. We've said it before and we'll undoubtedly say it again. Car meetups are welcome in Wheat Ridge, but illegal street racing is not, and we will not tolerate it here. Now let's take a look at a couple of cases our detectives could really use your eyes on. On March 19th, officers were called to a criminal mischief incident in which a number of door and window panes of a business in the 6000 block of West 44th were shattered. Responding officers believe the damage was likely done by a BB or pellet gun. Unfortunately, this is the second time in just a few short months this business has been victimized, and last time repairs to the glass cost upwards of $4,000. If you believe you have any information about this crime, as nothing was caught on surveillance camera, please do call the number that's listed on your screen. Back on March 9th, officers were dispatched to what came in as a suspicious person call in the 3800 block of Ingalls Street. The reporting party told dispatchers that someone had tried to break into their home, but they were able to scare them off via Ring camera. The homeowner said a break-in had happened 2 weeks prior when someone had shattered a bedroom window. This time, a young male was seen on camera entering the backyard, and he moved a table blocking that same window that was broken during the previous incident. That's when the homeowner spoke through the Ring camera, telling the suspect to leave and that he was going to be contacting the police. If you believe you recognize the individual in this surveillance footage, again, call our investigative team at the number that's listed there on your screen. In between your calls for service, officers proactively patrolled areas that we know to be higher crime in our community, such as the Yukon Court area we mentioned earlier. We often make contacts with people for less serious offenses like trespassing and jaywalking, then end up making arrests for outstanding warrants, drugs, and/or drug paraphernalia. Officers also recovered 2 stolen vehicles and issued approximately 20 traffic citations for dangerous driving behavior. That's all for now. We'll see you next time. And remember, if you need us, we are always just minutes away.